Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother. Yo, what up? It's your boy DELRAY, StraightGameTV. Thank you for tuning in. Most importantly, hit the like button. Share this content, man, because like I said, a lot of people, talk about situations involving Tupac. They've never met him. They didn't know him. And we're doing it different here. And I respect all of the brothers that did know him, that, that do tell their stories in regards to that. But today, I don't do speculation. I don't do innuendo here. I just do facts. I do concrete evidence. I do paperwork and documents and things of that nature. So I'm not going to just say anything. I'm going to back it up, with concrete evidence. And today, I'm talking about Tupac leaving Death Row, and it's a fact. Nate Dogg had spoke on it that Tupac, yes, was going to leave Death Row. Most people say, well, they attribute him doing the interview where he was talking about starting a Death Row East, because I'm doing business with someone in regards to starting a boutique label on the East Coast, adjacent to the successful label Death Row that's on the West Coast. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to leave, and continue doing my thing under a different umbrella and have my groups as well as do business with Death Row East. And the fact of that matter is, as I know that to be a fact, because the night that me, myself, Tupac, Melly Mel, Scorpio from Grandmaster Flash, and a few of the Outlaws were at the House of Blues on August 11th, 1996, Melly Mel and Scorpio actually went down to the studio with Tupac. And Tupac spoke about this situation in his last interview with Rob Marriott in regards to Melly Mel and them coming by the studio, and that because he respected Mel for being a rap legend and how he used Melly Mel's music to get rich. And so now Melly Mel was basically, or Tupac was basically trying to let Melly Mel use his name, because Tupac was the hottest thing on the planet at that time, to get a record deal.
Like Melly Mel and them true pioneers. They diss me. If they diss me, I would have dissed them. But they came to the studio. Every time I see them niggas, I bow down respectfully. Not bow down to them as men or as performers, but as elders. Like, that's like if you see any old mob nigga coming. You know what I mean? Get that nigga a table before you give me a table. Let him in before you let me in. Because I do know I'm the Don there. But I know if I'm not the Don, I want that respect, because to be the Don at one point means you had to have something. Right. And for him to write the message and all that shit, it did inspire me. It did do something. He got a pass. Unless he crossed me. And he hasn't. So we trying to get him a deal. He about to get a deal just using my name. And I got free and got rich just using his name and using his records.
And he was working on the One Nation album, which had a bunch of East Coast groups. Now, if Tupac wanted to get Melly Mel a record deal, I'm sure he could have talked to Suge and said, come on, yo, let's sign them. Yo, they legends. Tupac didn't do that, because Tupac was moving in a different direction. And unbeknownst to a lot of people, Tupac was in the process of completing his contractual obligations to Death Row. And most people don't know that. And like I said, they were working on the One Nation album, which Melly Mel and Scorpio were on that album. They did a song called How Many Shots with the Outlaws on it as well. You can check these facts. And so, more importantly, I'm going to get into the actual proof that Tupac was going to leave Death Row. And like I said, this is legal proof. This is not me saying it because I'm telling you something and I want you to run and believe it. But I'm actually going to, post up the document as I give you the information. A lot of people, like I said, haven't done their research, and then they just go by what they've heard, and they heard people talk about it, people that didn't know Tupac, never met Tupac, and so on and so forth. So like I said, I want y'all to understand, when you come here, You're not coming here listening to no bullshit. You come in here and you're going to get the real. So at the time that he was shot, having completed his contractual obligations to death row and suspecting that Suge Knight and David Kenner had defrauded him, Tupac began making preparations to leave death row and establish his own record company. He had, among other things, established a corporate structure to handle and manage his affairs and had retained counsel other than David Kenner to negotiate a merchandising agreement. You must understand, when Tupac left jail, David Kenner was supposed to be his lawyer, but that was a conflict of interest because David Kenner was the lawyer for death row. So at this time, Tupac got another lawyer because he understood what was going on. Sign number one. And like I said, if I'm negotiating a deal and David Kenner and them sent a letter to Interscope basically stating that nobody else was to negotiate on behalf of Tupac other than David Kenner and Suge Knight, I'm going to post that. And in fact, at the time Tupac died, that contract for the merchandising agreement had been fully negotiated, reduced to writing, and merely was awaiting execution. Now, what you have to understand is death row or Suge Knight or whoever else in this legal information that I'm imparting to you had negotiated a deal with Globex, which is a merchandising company, in reference to Tupac's image being sold on t-shirts and things of that nature, in which they found out in court that Tupac hadn't given permission to license his image, and nothing in his recording contract stated that they could do so without his permission. So from that perspective, once again, Tupac had found out what was going on, and he was trying to leave death row. He did All Eyes on Me, which was a double album, and then he did Machiavelli, which would have completed his contractual obligation to death row. He had a 3-album deal. And like I said, I don't know anything else about, you know, what the private conversations was, what the speculation was, because Tupac not here right now. But what I do know is that this information that was a part of this lawsuit is facts. And like I said, once again, so most people don't really understand that. And what I want to say also is, more importantly, this document right here substantiates that claim. And it backs it up 110%. Because there's no way that Tupac's going to go get a different lawyer now when I'm supposed to be contractually obligated from the Dannemora agreement, right? Which I'm going to post, that David Kenner would represent me in all of my matters. That would be breach of contract on Tupac's part. So Tupac was feeling some kind of way. And like I said, once again, he was on his way out and trying to move on to greener pastures, if you will. His contractual obligation was finished and he wanted to move on. It doesn't say that he was, you know, mad, angry or whatever. And like I said, Tupac was also trying to get an accounting from death row in regards to his record sales and everything, so that he could get his house in order, so that he could move on gracefully, because he knew based on the 18% royalty rate in his contract that he was owed money, period. You know, and so you'll see where death row was basically saying that Tupac was overdrawn from his record contract, meaning that he had borrowed more money than he had made from his record sales, and that would be totally impossible. So like I said, StraightGameTV, information, confirmation, and thank you for tuning in. Straight Game.